Hi, and welcome to the Priority Lane podcast. Normally, a show where we discover how to work smarter, not harder. But this is a special episode. We've hit 50,000 downloads across all platforms, which is a phenomenal achievement. And to celebrate that with me in a non-business sort of discussion is our CEO, effectively my boss, but I don't like to use that word in conjunction with him, is Nigel Catt, CEO of the Blackbridge Group, Devera Capital, and inventor of My Broker's app. So, Nigel, it's very nice to see you.
Yes, good to see you, Lawrence. Thank you for having me on.
That's what on your podcast. It's fine. It's fine. I think we'll find. I think the audience realizes, and everyone else who knows you and I, that I'm better at this than you. So,
Well, look, I'm not
what
going
can I
to
say?
disagree with you there. I think you're for this side. It's not really my forte. I just struggle where you just do it with ease.
Well, that's very true. But I just have rolled out of bed seeing it is 7:30, hence my bed hair. Although it kind of looks like this all the time, really. So it doesn't say a lot.
And
Um,
just
so
to confirm, is that AM or PM?
it's AM, mate. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's a long line. Dear, listen, I'm going to kick this off. I'm going to sort of be rude, and because my history of Australia and everything that's Australian is, well, it's not that great. So I
No.
figured you would, help me and other people who listen into the intricacies of, Australian mentality and culture.
Hmm.
We know the general ones: lots of drinking and playing cricket and occasionally rugby, that sort of thing. But outside of that, and I know you've got some uh, strange animal creatures as well. Things
Hmm.
galah, you taught me, which is
Yep.
a bit of a dim-witted bird. Surprising you brought up that first. And yeah, so just fill me in on what makes an Australian. Tell me that.
Okay. Well, first of all, on the Galay, I think that first got mentioned with us at. You took me to that dodgy bar, years ago. Um, and you didn't think a galah was real.
That's very
So,
true.
yes, I had to I had to sort of educate you on that. So I didn't bring it up because it was dim-witted. I brought it up because you were dim-witted. Um, just wanted to clarify that. What was your question? What makes Australians Australians, basically?
Just what makes an Australian, culture, mentality, apart from lager and cricket and rugby and Aussie rules
Yeah. Well, it depends
and
how
great
far
white
you.
sharks.
Yeah, look at I think a part of it is being so far away from everywhere else in the world. We're over here by ourselves. Uh,
We
a
enjoy that.
yeah. I mean, it's great. So, I mean, for that's one thing which it's good and bad. Like for you English people, going across to Europe isn't that much of a big thing, is it? It's just 1 2 hour flight. You're there. It's really nothing. Where for us, it's a big adventure. It's kind of like okay, it's a commitment. You've got 20 odd hours sitting on a plane next to someone that you don't know. I mean, it is a big commitment to do that, and that makes it more exotic. Also, we don't have the history of you guys. I mean, geez, I'm a bit of a fan on English history. I've read and listened to a lot of podcasts on English history. I have my favourite monarchs, my favourite events in English history, and then when you go over there, everything is just so old compared to here, and it really is. It really just puts everything into context. So over here, I think more out my perception more outgoing, mainly because of I think our location, also because we had to do things the hard way. I think from memory, the only country that got started as a penal settlement. Um, so we just it was just basically getting through that. Came over here, that there was not a lot of resources to use. It wasn't easy. Took a while to get established. Didn't know whether this whole venture was going to be a success or not, and just had to do some hard work, be entrepreneurial, and get on with it.
Well, I suppose that's one way of putting it. What you're saying is that, Australia was populated by the flotsam and jetsam of, the UK criminal society. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean,
Well, I'm saying that.
yeah, yeah, you're saying that. I mean, so what it was is, I guess you could look at it that way. I mean, for the record, no Australian was transported. Only the English were. So
Right.
let's put that on record.
It's our fault.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And also, if you look at that, I mean, looking at 17th, 18th century England, very strict. It was a very rigid society, and who would want to stay there in that environment? It was the people that, had a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit and, hey, for a laugh, let's steal a loaf of bread and see where it takes us. So yeah, all the kind of like the people that wanted to conform and stay with that rigid society, they stayed where they were. The free thinkers took a holiday to Australia.
I mean, I don't really know who came up with the idea of, sending all the convicts and the ne'er-do-wells to, basically a massive island paradise. I think and they probably didn't realize either at the time that, Australia is home to 18, out of 20 of the most deadliest creatures on the planet. I think if they'd known that, they would have thought, "Yes, this is a good way of thinning out the herd and getting rid of, you know, our creatures." But they didn't. And surprisingly, Australia's flourished even with all those dangers around there. You've managed to come through.
Yeah,
What
well,
I do find
I was just going to
Go
say,
on.
very grateful that they did decide to send us to Australia and like not to just the Channel Islands because that wouldn't have been much fun.
Well, no, and I think, Guernsey is only 23 miles circumference. So I've been there and I hired a car and I didn't get out. I didn't even get into third gear. It's it's pretty pointless. And on the island, you've got people, obviously, because it's a tax haven. There's lots of, rich people, high net worth individuals, and they've got, supercars and big 4x4s. And I remember thinking, what's the point? You can't actually do anything with it. So,
Yeah.
which is why a lot of them get on the ferry and come over to France so they can open it up on the autoroute. So yeah. So I understand we had a chat a while back, and this is, something that intrigued me, that you are in fact a direct descendant of a highwayman who
Mhm.
was convicted and sent to the penal colony called Australia. Is that right? So you're basically a descendant of a gangster.
Yeah, yeah. So that's one. Obviously, there's a lot of branches, but that's one. That's one way we came out. Yeah. So Isaiah, or was it Reuben? Oh, can't remember. But yeah. So he highwayman. He got sentenced to death, and then that got commuted to life in the colonies.
Ah, see, and
And
then hence here we are.
yeah, and I think I have to check. He then became free. They freed him after a while, which I
Didn't
think
know
that
what to do with him.
went. Yeah, it's kind of like, okay, we're, we're away from the English. Let's just let everybody out.
Just yeah.
There's the thongs. There's the beach.
That's it. Yeah, nice. I see. And so here's a question.
Mhm.
With that, ancestry, that lineage that you have with, gangsters and things like that, uh, what what sort of portion of your DNA do you feel has been transported over,
That's a good question.
isn't it?
Yeah, look, I think that portion only comes out after dark.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So during another line of our ancestry, we were farmers from Sussex,
Oh,
and we were actually paid farmers. So there you go. Someone paid for us to come out. And
oh,
so
did
that's
they?
obviously my daytime persona, hard worker. So,
Hard worker.
yep. Another line was we were Irish and came out because the prospects in Ireland at the time weren't that good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we came out. So hungry, hard work, and robbers. So,
Now you run a couple of businesses.
yeah, yeah, there you go. So it takes all sorts.
It doesn't it? And I think I did have a message from you a while back that it did make me laugh. Let me just see if I can
Uh,
find it. I think it said something like, what do we have? We have get free money and move to a better country. Entrepreneurialism or highway robbery. It's all a matter of perspective. Uh, so, and what was the other thing? Something about stealing a loaf of bread. If you can't, that's it. If you can't do it the normal way, just steal it or something like that. So
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that. Was that that's the one I said that we're going to put on our coat of arms.
that's
When you're down and out, steal from someone who has more.
that's it.
That's right.
That's it. And has that influenced any of your business decisions?
Not over the last 20 odd years.
Ah,
So
so
I do. I
when
do
you were
remember.
working in England.
Yeah, yeah. When I was working in England, when we met, I think that was almost the motto of the company.
Well,
so, so yeah,
it's
yeah,
true.
yeah. We won't mention the company, but
No, we won't.
no,
I
but,
do remember the terms and conditions on the fax that we used to send for them to sign. There was a small print that said, "Do not believe a word the salesperson tells you,"
yeah.
and that is true. It's just
I
obviously
actually
nobody
didn't
ever.
read that. Is that what it said? It was too small for me to
Yep,
read.
it basically yes. In a nutshell, that's what it said. Do not believe a word the salesperson tells you. You know, so that was
Jeez, I wish I had
yeah,
known
that was
that at
it.
the time.
Well, you did. You did pretty well. So but yeah. So an ancestry of gangsterism, I think,
Oh, one
is
part.
a is a well, it's a I know, but it sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's an interesting
I
part.
don't know, gangster descendant runs global businesses. I mean, it's like a rags to riches type story, isn't it?
Well, it is, it is, and look, I'm glad they did change his sentence, otherwise I may not have been here.
And there we go. That's very, very true. And what about the cat side of it? That's a massive
Uh,
lineage, I understand.
yeah, so the cats were they were the farmers from Sussex,
Ah, I see. Right.
and if you go to where is it? I went there with Karen 2002, went to Rye
Okay,
and,
down near Hastings on the coast. Yeah.
yeah, and then was it Surrey? Maybe it was Surrey, sorry, yeah, that's in Surrey, isn't it? No, Sussex, Surrey,
No,
where
right, rise in East Sussex,
East Sussex, so it was Sussex, yeah. Um,
down on the coast.
yes, and it was actually my birthday, and I was in the bar, we were staying upstairs, and, the barman
Standard.
asked me, "Well, what brought me to Rye? Why am I here?" And I explained, just we were from here somewhere, so just trying to, find, family, some family connection. And he asked for my surname, and I told him, and he said, "Oh God!" And he shout out to a bloke at the back of the bar. He's going, "Ian, we've got another cat here." He's going, "Oh, okay." I said, "What? There's a few." He's going, "Oh, yeah, we get them all the time." Um, he said, "Where you got to go is, I think it's Roxburgh." Just trying to remember. I think it's Roxburgh. He said, "Go up there." He said, "That's where they all are." So we did. The next day we went up there, and there's the Cat's Arms pub. There's actually, from memory, I think there was a Cat's Corner. Then there was also, I think there was a Cat's Butchery as well, which doesn't sound good. But yeah, so we went to the pub, went to the Cat's Arms pub, and actually that had the family emblem on it actually as well. Yeah, took a photo of that. And yeah, spoke to the publican, Fred Jones from memory,
Right.
which I think he
Right.
was also on Scooby Doo.
Uh,
But Uh, so I was chatting to him and told him, why we were there. He's going, "Oh, okay." He's going, "Yeah, yeah." He's going, "Well, our family bought it from the Cats, bought the pub from the Cats." I said, "Oh, okay." And I'm thinking this must have been recently. I said, "Well, when did this happen?" He's going, "I think it was about 1834." I said, "Oh, okay." So the business doesn't change hands too much. So yeah, he gave us some coasters. He had proper like cork backed coasters with the family emblem on it.
Okay,
He said, "Look, I'll give you a
nice.
six of these and stuff." So yeah, yeah. So
I was
we're
gonna say
mm,
I was gonna say, so I had visions of you knowing you as I do, and, being the pilfering oik that you are, I had visions of you, asking him for, the profit share, seeing as your family. But now I realise that actually he wasn't your family, he'd bought it off your family, so you're a bit
yes,
late.
yeah,
So,
yeah, 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 yeah. I missed out
because you
on
could
any.
have said, "Listen, our family, lend us a fiver," or whatever it is, but, you couldn't. So
No,
basically
no.
what you've done is you've now got some memorabilia from that part of the world at home, I imagine, have you?
Yep, yep. Got it there, and I've even got his. He gave me his business card,
Ah,
and I've got that stuck on the beer fridge outside.
that's
So,
excellent.
yeah,
It's really good.
yeah.
I've never known a publican with a business card. That sounds what does he do? Does he do a pop-up bar or something?
No, I don't know. It's I don't think he uses it much because it didn't really look that good. But anyway, at least he tried. Yeah.
He did. So, let me ask you about this, a little bit more of a serious note, fatherhood. Okay,
Hmm.
we're both dads. Um, so what do you think it takes to be a good dad?
Oh, wow. Good question. It's
Tricky.
it's Yeah, I think we've all got it in us. Well, that's what I was hoping just before I became a dad because I was stressing out. And everyone was getting excited. I mean, obviously, I was excited at the birth of the first one, but I'm thinking, what do I need to do? What is it? And it is just so funny how your life changes at that moment. And I remember a week. It was a 7-day birthday. I was sitting up. It was about 3 in the morning. I was giving her the bottle, and I was sitting on the couch in a room just thinking, I cannot comprehend what my life was like 8 days ago. Before the birth of your first child, I just couldn't comprehend what life was like. I just couldn't. Yeah, it was just completely changes you. So I don't know if that is like an inbuilt evolutionary thing that as soon as you become a father, bang, you just know what to do. I don't know. Well, as you know, they don't come with instruction booklets, but it's just doing the best you can. If you're a good person, you do the best you can. Well, you're going to make it work.
Fair enough. Yeah. I think men are gifted with the ability to just cut things loose very quickly with no emotional content. What I mean by that is, like you say, trying to remember what your life was before or how it was before. Yes, you remember it, but once you've stepped into fatherhood, you have to cut that loose because it's, it's gone. It's over.
Yeah,
It's a completely different
I
different
mean,
life.
yeah,
So yeah.
and like just yeah, I mean, I was the days or weeks leading up to the birth of Sophie, our first one, was What the I'm not too sure whether what we're gonna have a stranger in our house. I don't know this person, and they're gonna be in our house. Um, and when and then
I'm
obviously
going to put a lock on the beer fridge. She's not having it.
And, obviously straight after the birth, from that point on, you think, "What a ridiculous thing to think," that
Mm.
this person is a stranger into your house, but I was actually thinking that, thinking, "It's been Karen and I for so long, and now this other person, I don't know them."
Yeah.
And so it's just
Get
after the
out.
birth. Yeah. After the birth, everything just changes, and, yeah, as I said, I remember there 7 days after, I could not comprehend what my life was like before it. As I said, I can
No.
remember it, but I just couldn't think of living that life, I guess. And it,
Well,
it just changes.
you're a better man than me because, having children, uh, gave me a stark, wake up call of how selfish I actually am. And that's true. I'm not joking. That is true. I just realized how selfish I am having children because like you, I was like, "Look, why can't you get up and go move?" So if you this is fact. All, human babies are born prematurely because if they went to term, uh, like the rest of the mammals in the animal kingdom, the mother would die because every other mammal gives birth to live young that can actually walk within hours or swim, right?
Mm,
Humans are the only one, and it has to be like because if they went to term, women would die, and then there'd be no procreation anyway because there'd be no females. That'd be it, be done.
yeah.
So, and that's true. So
Yeah.
if you
No,
think about it, the giraffe,
sorry. Yep, go on.
giraffe, for example, or whatever wildebeest, they have a thing. It has to get up because if you don't get up and run, you're dead.
Yeah.
So
You do.
you know, and I remember thinking this. My children, obviously, th- this is little baby. It weighs what, 7 pound 10 or whatever the first one was, and it's helpless. It can't do anything. And a guy that I knew was a neighbour of mine in France who he was a corporate trainer for PwC. He was extremely well known and respected. And he told me, and these were his words: "A newborn baby is the best trainer in the world by far." And I went, "Why?" And he goes, "Because it's fucking useless. It can't do anything. It doesn't do anything. So you have to. It forces you to do everything." And I've never forgotten that. I was like,
Mm,
"Wow."
okay.
And I have to say, I've met a few people, a few adults along the way who are a little bit like that. So
Well, it's funny what you mentioned about human babies, and I think it's 9 months. I think they're 9 months premature. Like if they did go
they went
full
to
term, be another
if they
nine
go full
months.
term.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
because that basically fits in where some are sort of walking around about that stage. Um,
correct.
one thing I did do just after they were then had Phoebe 2 years later, when they started to sort of grow up a bit and starting to talk and the rest, I thought I'm going to start getting questions. And I remember as a kid, my father knew all the questions, whatever I asked. Half of it could have been made up. I don't know, but at least he had some answer. So I thought I've got to do the same thing. So I spent years reading about everything. Okay, what do they want to know about dinosaurs? So I went through, and during lunchtime at work, I'd be reading about dinosaurs and this and that. Then what else? Okay, stars. So read all about that, all about the stars, all about the planets. Then okay, evolution. So how the Earth was evolved, and then all the way through the Devonian period and the Cretaceous or whatever it was. All of those things, I went through all of that, and I just consumed so much knowledge, thinking I'm going to get asked questions one day. And one of the things I did read was what you were talking about
Ah.
human babies being born premature. And I've actually used that. I used that, mate. Oh, it was about 15 years ago in a conversation. Probably went straight over their head. But yes,
Yeah,
I had
what
the
was this
knowledge. I was
idiot
going
going on about?
to, yes.
So
Yeah, no, Dad, I
so,
just
I
asked if
mean,
I could some garlic bread. No, well, let me tell you about human babies.
it's true. Yeah, it's a bit you learn all that, and then the first question is, "Daddy, can I have a horse?" You're like, no, but I can tell you about a triceratops."
Yes.
It's just
Interesting thing about
you
the
know,
horse. Do you know when they give birth, they can stand up? I bet you can't do that.
no. You put a flip chart out and some pens and start doing some diagrams for them. Yeah. Brilliant. So, I'm gonna go back to Australia now,
Okay.
um, and in particular, the what good has come out of Australia? So, here we go. So, as far as I can
This will take a
tell,
while. Okay.
is it as far as I can tell, aside from, Margo Robbie and Chris Hemsworth, who are, they're a decent 7 out of 10. The Minogue sisters coming in around a 6.
I think they
What
were more
what can you
popular in
tell?
England than what they were here.
Well, possibly, but, so you've got Margot and Chris who are 7s, and you got the Minogues, who are about, yeah, 6, holding steady around there, even though they're getting on a bit. Why do you think it is the rest of Australian civilization kind of sort of, hang around the 2.5, 3 out of 10?
Well, I don't think that's very fair. And, who did you say your employer was again?
Anyway, shout out to Margo and Chris. You're doing all right for Australia.
No. Well, I mean, if that's your now with that rating you're talking about, like in general, because obviously, if our
Oh, yeah,
cricketers
just
are a 2, I don't know where that leaves you blokes.
we're kind of yeah, we haven't come out of the pavilion, basically. So, on the sport note, this is very important. I've noticed that, having watched lots of it like you have, uh, Australians are they are just you're just so much more I I suppose, is it fearless, but you just have your mentality to sport is so more it's just more advanced than the UK. Um, so for example, over here, the FA, I was a grassroots football coach, so I coached under 10s football.
Mhm.
Um, and I ended up, when they asked me to take the full time position, I said no, because the FA, they're basically, I said I want to show and teach the kids how to win, because nobody wants to be on a Saturday morning, parents on a touchline, all these kids who are 8, 9 years old getting hammered 8-0 and then going home. No one likes that. And unfortunately, the FA, they don't agree. That's not something I was allowed to say. I want to teach them to win because they're all
Yep.
about participation. And what I remember about, or certainly when you look at Australian sports, men and women, they are they're so more focused, so more determined, and I remember Lleyton Hewitt, when he first came on the scene, he was an absolute animal. He just ran everything down, chased everything down, and he won Wimbledon. He was
Yep.
incredible, that drive and determination. We don't have that, and I wanna know, how does that seeing as you guys came from us, how is that so different?
Well, it gets back to that selective breeding. You got rid of all the good stock just
It
because,
sounds like
you
it.
didn't like them. So they didn't conform to society.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, it's quite funny. I don't have the answer on that. I did have the answer. I actually, when I first turned up to England, oh, not first time, but it was, but actually when I was working with you, I was listening to the radio and I forget which team it was, but they hired an English team, hired an Australian coach, and they asked him basically the same question. And for the life of me, I can't remember what he said, but it wasn't.
Well, that's a great answer. Brilliant analogy. We can all use that. But, I
but
just
but
I just for me, I thought it was the mentality. I've never really seen an Australian individual sports person or team look under pressure, or at least crack. They never seem to capitulate under pressure, and they always seem to go for broke. They know that, "Oh, this is a risk. If I do that," they take that risk. That's what I see.
yeah,
Do you agree with that?
yeah. Look, what I look at the only I did have a theory, or maybe I borrowed it from someone, I can't remember, that you mentioned
Stole it
participation, but
probably.
also but, it could even be participation rates. Over here, it is just a climate that's more conducive to being outside and outside activities. You spend more
Yeah.
time outside. Maybe it's that there is just more participation, even though I know you've got a larger population. Maybe it is just that. Maybe it's more time outside, more time without knowing it, honing these skills that will come in use later, and just spending more time, whether it's playing an organised game of sport or just a game that you've made up with a few of your mates. And
Yeah.
it could be that. It could be just spending more time outside doing it. Or it could just be right from the bottom. If it's like right from the younger age, if that's the bar that's set, that's the bar you've got to meet as you
Right.
progress through the age groups or all the way up. So maybe they needed someone like you on the sidelines teaching them how to win. Maybe that's
I
it.
I
That
I don't. I don't know about
And
that.
the
I
the
just,
the
you know, there was a couple of things. There was just a couple of things that, you know, you can see as an adult that, you know, particularly defensively or whatever, you know basics, and you're not allowed to kind of push that, or you can, but you're just not allowed to say that that's what you're doing, which I
yeah,
found kind of counterproductive because, as I said, as a
well,
parent standing on a touchline on a Saturday in England when it's pissing down with rain, watching your kid get hammered in the mud, you're like, I don't want to be here. So
yeah, yeah, look, there was a push, oh, maybe go back 10 years ago, where there was a bit of talk about not, keeping score with a lot of the younger kids' sports,
mhm.
but they went away from that, because again, they're going along with the participation and everything else, don't wanna put the pressure, but I believe, maybe some competitions do it, but in the main, yeah, no, you're playing a game, but you're also scoring.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's
But
important.
with your Lleyton, Hewitt, yeah, look, I have to agree, and he's probably the one of the best examples of that. He was compared to the other players, he was undersized. He didn't have the ground strokes of, you know, the power of the other guys.
Yeah, yeah,
But my God, he was a bit of a, polarizing figure, especially in his, younger days. He sort of
yeah.
had a bit of a mouth on him and, you know, all the rest. But tell you, he never gave up. He just
No,
would. I'd be watching, going, mate, just forget about it. He'd be there and
yeah.
he'd run everything down, and he'd finally provide.
And I just think that, you know, that tenacity is, and like you say, he was fiery temper as well, but, you know, it was incredible. I remember watching him blitz I think it was David Nalbandian, he completely destroyed, I think it was in the final, um, and
Yes,
made him look very, very average. I remember that. I
yeah.
just thought,
Was David Nalbandian, the Argentinian, 2002? Because I
correct,
was over
that's
there,
it.
just living around the corner from Wimbledon, and we went there. It was great. We were at Southfields,
Yep.
um, and yeah, so we were down at the Weatherspoons pub at Southfields,
Right.
and you know, they have the defence forces doing all the ushering at Wimbledon. And anyway, we're down there one night at the pub, and there was, oh, were they Navy guys? I don't know, their base was at, what's it, right at the other end? Is it Uxbridge? Um,
Okay, Middlesex, yeah.
yeah, that's where their base was from memory, and freaking miles away from the courts. So, and, you know, they were there drinking and then had to be back. Basically, had to get up at 4 in the morning to go back to the courts to do their job. So we started chatting. We had a spare room in our place, and it was like 200 meters up the road. And so for 20 quid a night, they said, you know, can we stay there? I said, yeah, fine. I think they only stayed there once, but they kept paying. Yeah, so we got to know him. And one of the guys, Tomo, was on centre court. That was his gig. So he said, look, just come on in. And, you know, so we did that a couple of times, pay the entry fee, and then we'd go up to his gate, and he'd have a look around, say, "Yeah, I've got seats for you," because a lot of corporates went. And he goes, "I know when they leave,
Yes.
right, that's it."
Yeah.
So, we got there the middle Saturday to see Lleyton play, oh, I forget who it was, and then we watched the men's final at home in the living room, and, saw him, beat Nalbandian, and then said to Karen, "Why not? We'll just wander down to the courts." And she said, "Okay." So she went off, got ready, and then started watching the Williams sisters. I think they were
Mm.
playing Antikova and somebody else. And so I started watching that while Karen's getting ready. Then we wandered down the road, got into Wimbledon. I think it was free to get in or something at that stage. And then wandered up to centre court. I said, let's just see if Tomo's there. And he said, yep, okay. So we started watching the doubles, women's doubles finals at home on the telly, and then ended watching watch the end of that set sitting on centre court watching it live. It was just
That's
really,
amazing.
really, yeah, it was. It was amazing. And then because there were rain delays throughout the tournament, they had the mixed doubles finals after that as well. So we got plenty of tennis that day no, I think it was a gold coin to get in or something. And then, yeah, centre court for nothing because, yeah, it's all about who
A
you know.
a gold a gold coin?
Yeah, because it was after men's finals, so it was like
Right.
I think it was like £2 or something. That wasn't the normal price of admission because it was
Oh,
basically all over. They were sort
oh, I
of
see.
throwing the gates over type thing. Men's finals had finished
Yeah.
and so
Okay.
yeah. So, yeah, it was really cheap. Might have been £2 to get in or something like that,
It
and
was the
then
it was the men's finals over. The lesser players will turn up. The Williams sisters. I mean, come and see the Williams sisters for £2. It's like,
well, I think it was yeah, it was the mixed doubles after that, I think, and then I think they had the juniors. We were there for freaking hours. I think they had the juniors. It was getting dark, and,
yeah,
but yeah. No, that was fun.
good.
I enjoyed that, just wandering around, going to the courts, just the atmosphere, the buzz around Southfields and the whole lot when that was going on. It was a good 2 weeks.
Excellent. And just to finish, uh, the podcast itself, the Priority Lane, as you know, we've globally, I understand, across all platforms, hit 50,000 downloads. You must be pretty happy with that, seeing as the first episode was back in, beginning of December.
Yeah, no, no, extremely. We were, I remember when we did the first one, and we launched it, and, then I said, "Oh, 3 people have downloaded it." I thought, "Oh, wow, I'm so happy." So then I emailed everyone. You would have got the email, "Hey, if you download the podcast, let Naomi know and let her know which platform so, we can see how many real listeners, downloads we have." And
Yeah.
then it was a day or 2 later, she messaged me, she's going, "We've got 350." I'm going, "What?" All these people started downloading, and then yeah, and it's just gone from there. It's been incredible. I think, I saw a stat somewhere this about a month ago, based on how long we've been around and the genre we're in, that we're in the top 1% of business podcasts or something based on, our amount of time. So no, it's been incredible and very humbling to that people want to tune in each week and listen to us.
That's true, because it's not something, it's not a technology that we grew up with, and it's not a technology that we even knew about when we were working together back in the late 90s. So to be able to now produce something, and talk to people and get that sort of engagement is really, really incredible. So that's great stuff. Well, look, thank you very much for joining, Nigel. I will leave you to your evening and your
Yes,
wild
thank you.
turkey. And I've been Lawrence Dauncey. This is the Priority Lane podcast. I am clearly the better host, which we all know. But I think Nigel's going to be, he's got a few guests that he'll be introducing in the coming weeks. So look out for that. And we're also going to be present at PA360 on the 23rd of April at Convene in London. I will be manning the hub that we have there. Yeah, if you're listening to this and you're about in London at PA360, come say hi, and I'll dish out an Australian treat because everyone loves a treat. And on that note, see you soon. Cheerio.
Great. Thank you. See ya.
See you, Nigel.
This episode is sponsored by My Brokers app, a white label app built specifically for financial advisors and wealth management professionals. If you want to know how you can have your own app exclusively for your business and your clients up and running by this time next week, visit mybrokers.app or download the free My Brokers demo app from your favorite app store.